Hello students, today we will discuss about the basics of communication. In this chapter, we will discuss about the various meanings and definitions of communication. Thereafter, we will discuss the various functions of communication, and then we will discuss about the process and the elements of communication. So let's start. In this lecture, we'll talk about basics of communication. For the start, we need to understand what is the meaning of communication. Communication is the act of sharing or exchanging information with someone, for example, speaking, writing, reading, dreaming, exchanging idea, etc. Communication is the process of passing information and understanding from one person to another. In simple words, it is a process of transmitting and sharing ideas, opinion, facts, values, etc. from one person to another or one organization to another in one group to another group. Now, origin of the word. The English term communication has been evolved from Latin language, communis and communicare. These are two Latin words related to the world of communication. Communis is the noun, which means common, and communality or sharing. Similarly, communicare is a verb which means make something common. Some scholars relate the term communication with an English word community. Community members have something common to each other. Communities are supposed to be the form with the tie of communication. It is the foundation of community, hence, there were no communication if there cannot be a community. Now we will discuss some other functional definition of communication. According to the Oxford Dictionary, the communication means the transfer or conveying of meaning. Here we can understand wherever we are talking to each other, it means that we are sharing each other's meaning. Now these are the few renowned theorists from communication. The description of theorists we will discuss in the later chapters. Now we will need to understand what are the definition according to them. Colin Cherry is another theorist in communication. According to him, transmission of stimuli. Now, stimuli means something which is motivational, something which is arousing, something which is no, something which is making us to do something. Suppose maybe hunger, suppose maybe a pain, suppose maybe a deep anxiousness, suppose maybe deep a curiosity. So that there's a transmission of stimuli. Now Claude Shannon is another theorist. He's basically engineer and a mathematician. He discuss about that one mind affecting another. Here we can understand that one mind affecting another. Suppose if a teacher is talking to you something or maybe suggesting you something, so one mind is another mind. A student is listening to the teacher and following the same path which the teacher when is narrating. Another theorist, Charles E. Osgood. According to him, one system influences another. Now, again, we will discuss about the Wilbur Schramm. He is another very important personality in the field of communication. He has given many theories in communication. According to him, he defined communication in two ways. First, the mechanism through which human relationship or relation exist and develop. Suppose if a newborn baby looking at the people, looking at the around everyone, so the baby develop and a relation with his or her mother, her father, her siblings, and according to that, and same happens with students and teacher. So another way he defines communication according to Wilbur Schramm, that is sharing of experience on the basis of commonness. It is as simple as this. I'm just giving a normal example. Suppose I am teaching you mass communication and you are listening to me, so I have some commonness, I have some understanding of communication which is a common between you and me. So what I with my experience I'm sharing some experiences, some definitions, some understanding of communication to my students, and in that way the students are reciprocating that and even getting the understanding of that same commonness. Now the communication is therefore is a process of sharing or exchange of idea, information, knowledge, attitude, or feeling among two or more persons through certain signs and symbol. We use many gesture, posture, language, words, letters, and we these are the signs and symbol through which we exchange, we transmit the idea, information, knowledge, attitude, and feeling, etc. Now, we will talk about the functions of communication. Be at the heart of all social action and interaction. Communication functions as a relating tools that creates understanding, facilitates work, and strengthen collective living among people. Various functions of communication. The very important function of communication, that is information. Now, information, how we will understand this? Communication provides us enormous information about the environment in which we live. Information such as local news, danger, policy, politics, crisis, cyclone, pandemic, international affair, and so many, and so, and in a various way. These all informations are important, for that helps us in taking appropriate steps to safeguard our own interests. Suppose we are traveling somewhere and suddenly we heard some news that there is a road blockage in that particular area. So definitely with that information is very so useful. Either we will postpone that journey or we will cancel that journey according to that information. Suppose we are going through a very dark time of pandemic or anything, we are getting every day the numbers and everything so that we can analyze the situation. Now next is instruction. One of the major function of communication is to instruct, educate and socialize the members of the society. Communication provides a fund of knowledge, expertise and skills that enable people to operate us as effective member of the society. It also creates awareness and give directions. The next important function of communication is entertainment. Human beings need to break the monotony of the routine and divert their attention from troubles and tension of daily life. Such diversion has a positive role in our life. It revitalizes our personality and even educates us. Communication provides boundless entertainment to people through pictures, films, music, drama, dance, literature, comedy, sports, etc. Now the next is persuasion. One of the most important function of communication is to persuade or influence the other part. Why is it so? Because persuasion helps in reaching decision or consciousness of public policy so that it is possible to control and govern. We can take example of several advertisement, social commercial campaigning and awareness programs and etc. The next important thing is that debate and discussion. Though it is kind of a secondary understanding of functions of communication and rest other four functions, they are primary functions of communication. Now we'll talk about debate and discussion. It is through debate and discussion in media or parliament or any national international platforms that the public can clarify in different viewpoints on issues of public or national or human interest and arrive at a general agreement that matters and concern to all. Cultural promotion is another function. Communication provide opportunity for culture to be preserved and promoted, such as concerts, music bands, national and international cultural documentary, etc. Now we will talk about integration. Communication is great integrating tool. Through a fund of knowledge or information, individuals or group cultures come to know one another and understand and appreciate others' way of life and thereby develop tolerance towards one another. So these were the basics of communication, where we discuss about the various functions of communication. Now we will talk about the process and the elements of communication. So there we can see a diagram of process and elements of communication. Now this is the process: sender encoding a message through a media, then someone is decoding. Who is decoding? The receiver is decoding and answering the same way in the response and giving the feedback to the center. If there is a problem, then there is a noise. So another diagram is the sender encoding media, that is called channel, decoding, receiver, response, feedback, noise. So here these are, in that way, this is a process of communication, and the sender encoding, message decoding, receiver and feedback, these are the various elements of communication. So now we will discuss one by one the several elements of communication, and these elements go when it runs in a process, that is one runs with a system and in a hierarchy that understands, and that is all, that whole process called that the process of communication. Now the first element of communication, that is sender, the person who intend to convey the message with the intention of passing information and ideas to others, is known as sender or the communicator. Now next is encoding. Since the subject matter of communication is theoretical and tangible, its further passing requires use of certain symbols such as words, action, or pictures, etc. Conversion of subject matter into these symbols is a process of encoding. The next is message. This is the subject matter of the communication. This may be an opinion, attitude, feelings, viewpoints, order, and suggestion. The next is communication channel or any media through which we will transfer the message. The person who is interested in communicating has to choose the channel for sending the required information, ideas, etc. The information is transmitted to the receiver through a certain channel or channels, which may be either formal or informal. So the next is the receiver, to whom we are transferring the message. Now receiver is the person who receives the message or from whom the message is meant for. It is the receiver who tries to understand the message in the best possible manner in achieving the desired objectivity. Now, the receiver has to decode that meaning. The person who receives the message or the symbol from the communicator tries to convert the same in such a way so that he or she may extract its meaning to his or her complete understanding. Now, once the receiver will decode the meaning of that particular message, then if someone has to answer, the receiver has to answer or reply back, and that is called feedback. Feedback is the process of ensuring that the receiver has received the message and understood in the same sense as the sender, and the sender meant it. So this is the process. This whole process goes like one by one, and if there is any disturbance, any glitches in that particular flow of communication, that is called noise, and this can be any sort of interference that affects the message being sent or received or understood. It can be as literal or a static, or over a phone line, over a radio, or esoteric, or is misinterpreting a local custom. It can be anything. In further chapters we will discuss about the various noise and barriers of communication. So this is whole the process of communication and the elements we need. These are the elements of communication. In the same way, suppose you are talking to your teacher, or a teacher is speaking something to the student or anything, that is a process, and that comes in the communication. One person is talking to another person, maybe the person who is sending a message, that is he is a sender or she is a sender, and someone is receiving end, that is a receiver, and in between there is a process of encoding a message channel and the receiver wants to answer something to the sender, and the process called a feedback. So this is the process and elements of communication.